Good morning, Joseph Gallagher family and community. Welcome to Facebook Live, the next edition. Welcome to the neighborhood. This is a contemporary version of Mr. Rogers, which I'm going to turn down. Again, we have 22 sites in Cleveland that are offering free lunches for our students and families. Again, you do not need to bring the entire family with you. Just go to the pickup location, as we are practicing social distancing and keeping groups small, so that we can make sure everyone stays safe in this community and in your families. Just tell them how many lunches you need. Show up, pick it up. The closest spot to Joseph Gallagher is Waverly School, which is off Detroit, and I think 57th Street or 54th. It's very close, so feel free to pick up your lunches and enjoy something yummy to eat. We are, again, reaching out into the homes and families of our school to keep our community close, keep us close-knit and together. Parents, if you're watching, while I read some stories, I have 3 selections for today. Consider asking your child, what's your favorite part? Who's your favorite character? And you may want to ask why as well. As the story's being read, whisper over and say, hey, what's going to happen next? Who was in the story? This is obviously for half of the story. As I introduce the stories, ask before I read, what will happen in the story? In the end of the story, how did the story end? Where is the setting? Which of course we know means where does the story take place? And you could also ask, what is the story about? And again, this is the theme of the story, and these all do have themes. The first 2 stories I'm going to read are for children. And the third is something that I am personally interested in. I am a history buff. I enjoy nonfiction books, and it is going to be an excerpt of a famous diary. So let's get started. This book is Strictly No Elephants, written by Lisa Mantchev and illustrated by Taeun Yu. Strictly No Elephants. The trouble with having a tiny elephant for a pet is that you never quite fit in. No one else has an elephant. Every day I take my elephant for a walk. He is very thoughtful. Sort of walk. Aw, how sweet. Carrying an umbrella. He doesn't like the cracks in the sidewalk much. Do you do that with your your children? Jump over the cracks? The old saying, if you step on a crack, you break your mother's back? I always go back to help him over. That's what friends do. Lift each other over the cracks. Today, I'm walking my tiny elephant, number 17. It's a pet club day, and everyone will be there. See, he's walking his elephant. I see a doggy, another doggy, and a kitty. I tried to get my cat Storm involved in the video today, but she's a cat, and cats do what cats do. I tried. She's over there looking out the window. Come along, there's a good boy. I coaxed him the last few feet. It'll be fine. Oh, I'm hearing that you can't see me. Oh, you can't see. Okay, technical error. Let me ask, is that better? Better? Okay, I think that's better. I hope that's better. I apologize, everyone. This is something new for me. If you know me, I'm not very Facebook savvy, so this is learning lesson one. Come along. There's a good boy. I coaxed him the last few feet. It'll be fine. When I look up, there's a sign on the door. Oh, I wonder what the sign says. Can you tell by the look on their faces? Strictly no elephants. Okay. I'm giving bad advice. So hopefully you can see me now and you can still see the book. My tiny elephant leads me back to the sidewalk, never minding the cracks. That's what friends do, brave the scary things for you. Do you have friends that brave things for you when it's scary and help take care of you? It's raining. What a sad looking picture. The elephant looks sad. And he looks sad too. Did you try to go to the pet club meeting too? The girl asked. Yes, I say, but they don't allow elephants. The sign didn't mention skunks, the girl says, but they don't want us to play with them either. They don't know any better, I tell her. He doesn't stink, the girl adds. No, he doesn't, I agree. What if we start our own club? Come along, I say, making certain that my tiny elephant follows me, because that's what friends do. Never leave anyone behind. We have the elephant. And what other animals do you see in the picture? Can you see a bat? I see a porcupine. A little teeny fish. A skunk. An armadillo. A giraffe. A penguin. Wow, this is quite the group of animals. We can play here, one of our new friends says. So we paint our own sign. Crosses out strictly no strangers, no spoil sports, and puts all are welcome. My tiny elephant will give you directions if you need them, because that's what friends do. The end. I hope the video is working this time. I am going to move on to a second story, but this story I thought was extremely cute, and it was one that reminds me of when we're, out there doing what we with our friends, and we, friends down and feel like they're not fitting in and things aren't going well, that we make sure that we find a way, like helping the elephant over the cracks, finding another group of friends that accepts us and loves us for who we are, and really supports each other. That is the first book. The next is called Tully and Me, written and illustrated by Kaylee Shaw. Aww, I love pictures like this. For the joyful turtle connoisseur, the strong and persistent fighter, and all the special people who open my heart without a word. The dedication page. My friend Tully is different from me, but we live side by side near a pond and an oak tree. These are beautiful illustrations. When the birds sing their songs, I sing along too. La 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 la. See the laws. I love singing laws. La 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 la. Beautiful voice, I know. And jump with the frogs, just not like they do. Tully likes windy days more than me. How happy Tully is. Do you like windy days? I like windy days. I like to fly kites. Big, beautiful kite. Because the wind blows the pinwheel that spins near the tree. He waves his arms around and around until he gets so tired he falls to the ground. One day I asked Tully to play hide and seek. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, 7, 8, 9. No peeking. But he was counting marching ants and didn't want to speak. It's fun. I like ants. He was counting the ants again and again. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uh-oh. What do you think's happening in this picture? Looks like a lawnmower. Do the turtles look happy? Sad? Worried? Scared? Suddenly the lawnmower comes roaring by to cut the grass that grew too high. Tully did not like that sound, so he started to scream to calm himself down. Ah! That didn't work, so he started to cry. He needed to run. He needed to hide. So he ducked in his shell where he felt safe inside. That's a great picture. I thought, and I thought, what can I do? And the mower came closer, and the loud sound grew. Oh, you look so scared. I walked up to Tully and knocked on his shell and said, let's go for a walk down our favorite trail. I went for a walk yesterday. Got about 10,000 steps. Just then. That didn't work. So Mr. Keefe, if you're watching, please put a chip in for the Browns. Thank you. That didn't work. He stayed out of sight. What if he stays in his shell all night? What do you think's going to happen if he stays in that shell all night? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's counting. Totally like counting again and again. So I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Totally loved counting, so he poked his head out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when the mower came by, 1 to 10, we would shout. Just watch the wheels, around they go, just like the pinwheel. They roll and they roll and they roll and roll. And the wheels on the mower went around and around until it rolled away and took with it the sound. Yeah. Then the wind blew again through the leaves on the tree, and I smiled at Tully, and he smiled back at me. Tully and I are different, that we don't hide, but a smile feels the same on the inside. Aww. Little hearts inside, beating. This is the end of this story. I really like this story too. I'm drawn to books that have beautiful pictures and, and just great meetings behind it. Uh, Parents and students, this is what it's about. It's about a time where we're a little scared, a little frustrated about being indoors, and the loud noises that are going on in the news, and the loud noises that you're hearing people's concerns. And sometimes you need to shut it off, turn it down, and just appreciate the people around you, appreciate what you're doing, and find some positive way to spend your time. If you need to count, I count and breathe. Breathe in and out and count, and try to do it for 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's a wonderful way to relax, and it's actually releases good chemicals in your body to help you relax. Parents and students and Gallagher staff, the next book is much different. I started with saying that I am into history, into nonfiction books, and this is a diary of a young lady named Anne Frank. Anne Frank lived in Germany during World War II. She was a Jewish girl. Her family was Jewish. And during the time period during World War II in Germany, the government there was trying to get rid of all the Jewish people in the country, and then eventually the world. Anne and her family received a message that the government wanted to see her dad. Now, this only meant that her family was going to be moved to a ghetto. They make them move, and they move them to a very ugly part of town that's all fenced in, and then they take them to concentration camps. So, parents, if you think your children are too young for this story, please enjoy the first two. This is not a story. This is a actual events. I'm starting when Anne and her family, instead of being arrested for being Jewish, which is a religion, if you're not sure what being Jewish is, they go into hiding. And where I pick up in this diary, this is Anne Frank. She was a 15-year-old girl, and she took a diary of her life in this time period where her family and friends who were Jewish were hunted and put in prisons and eventually murdered. But this is a life diary. It's a real diary. It's not made up in any way. It is factual. And I'm going to read a couple of the days of it. And it's on the screen. You can follow along. And she doesn't use real names in the story, but it's something that everyone, I believe, in the world needs to know about what happened. And so this is what I'm interested in. I enjoy these. This is Wednesday, July 8th, 1942, and she begins writing about when the family has to leave their home and go into hiding so they're not arrested. Dearest Kitty, it seems like years since Sunday morning. So much has happened, it's as if the whole world has suddenly turned upside down. But as you can see, Kitty, I'm still alive. And that's the main thing, Father says. I'm alive, all right, but I don't ask where or how. You probably don't understand the word I'm saying today, so I'll begin by telling you what happened Sunday afternoon. At 3 o'clock, the doorbell rang. I didn't hear it, since I was out on the balcony, lazily reading in the sun. A little while later, Margaret appeared in the kitchen doorway looking very agitated. Father has received a call-up notice from the SS. The SS was the government at the time. She whispered, Mother has gone to see Mr. Van Dam. Mr. Van Dam is a father's business partner and a good friend. I was stunned. A call-up, everyone knows what that means. Visions of concentration camps and lonely cells raced through my head. How could we let Father go to such a fate? Of course he's not going, declared Margot, as we waited for Mother in the living room. Mother's gone to Mr. Van Dam to ask whether we can move into our hiding place tomorrow. The Van Dams are going with us. There will be 7 of us all together. Silence. We couldn't speak. The thought of Father off visiting someone in the Jewish hospital and completely unaware of what's happening, the long wait for Mother, the heat, the suspense, all this reduced us to silence. Suddenly the doorbell rang again. That's hello, I said. Don't open the door, exclaimed Margot to stop me, but it wasn't necessary since we heard Mother and Mr. Van Dane downstairs talking to Hello. And then the 2 of them came inside and shut the door behind them. Every time the bell rang, either Margot or I had tiptoed downstairs to see if it was Father, and we didn't let anyone else in. Margot and I sent from the room, as Mr. Van Dane wanted to talk to Mother alone. When she and I were sitting in our bedroom, Margot told me that the call-up was not for Father, but for her. At this second shock, I began to cry. Margot is 16. Apparently they want to send girls her age away on their own. But thank goodness she won't be going. Mother had said so herself, which must be what Father had meant when he talked about going into hiding. Hiding. Where would we hide? In the city? In the country? In a house? In a shack? When? Where? How? These were questions I wasn't allowed to ask, but they still kept running through my mind. Margot and I started packing our most important belongings in a school bag. The first thing I stuck in was this diary, and then curlers, handkerchiefs, school books, a comb, and some old letters. Preoccupied by my thought of going into hiding, I stuck the craziest thing in the bag. But I'm not sorry. Memories mean more to me than dresses. Father finally came home around 5 o'clock, and we called Mr. Kleiman to ask if we could come by that evening. Mr. Van Dane left, and we went to get, not sure how to pronounce it, but we call it Meep. Meep arrived and promised to return later that night, taking with her a full bag of shoes, dresses, jackets, underwear, stockings. After that, it was quiet in our apartment. None of us felt like eating. It was still hot, and everything was very strange. We had rented our big upstairs room to a Mr. Goldschmidt, a divorced man in his 30s, who apparently had nothing to do that evening, since despite all our polite hints, he hung around until 10 o'clock. Meep and Jane G's came at 11. Meep, who worked with Father's company since 1933, has become a close friend, and so has her husband, Jan. Once again, shoes, stockings, books, underwears disappeared to Meep's bed and Jane's deep pockets. At 11:30, they too disappeared. I was exhausted, and even though I knew it may be my last night in my own bed, I fell asleep right away and didn't wake up until Mother called me at 5:30 the next morning. Fortunately, it wasn't as hot as Sunday. A warm rain fell through the day. The 4 of us were wrapped in so many layers of clothes, it looked like if we were going off to spend a night in a refrigerator. And so that we could take more clothes with us. No Jew in our situation would dare leave the house with a full suitcase of clothes. I was wearing 2 undershirts, 3 pairs of underpants, a dress, and over that skirt, a jacket, a raincoat, 2 pairs of stockings, heavy boots, a cap, a scarf, and lots more. I was suffocating even before we left the house, but no one bothered to ask me how I felt. Margot stuffed her school bag with school books, went to get her bicycle, and with Meep leading the way, rode off to the great unknown. At any rate, that's how I thought of it, since I still didn't know where our hiding place was. At 7:30, we too closed the door behind us. Morjay, my cat, was the only living creature I said goodbye to. According to a note we left for Mr. Goldschmidt, he was to be taken to the neighbors, who would give her a good home. The beds, the stripped beds, the breakfast things on the table, the pound of meat for the cat, in the kitchen, and all these created the impression we left in a hurry. But we weren't interested in impressions. We just wanted to get out of there, to get away and reach our destination in safety. Nothing else mattered. More tomorrow. Yours, Anne. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to pick up each time I have the privilege of being in your living room or your kitchen or wherever it is you're watching this. This is the first day, and you kind of have to put yourself in, kind of close your eyes and imagine what's happening here in this diary excerpt. Anne and her family received notice from the government. SS was kind of like a police division of the government in Germany. And basically that her older sister was going to be taken away. And the Jewish population knew what was happening. Their friends and family had been taken and brought to concentration camps, which was a camp with no running water, no toilets, many, many people packed into a bunk. If you're older and feel comfortable, I would Google it. It's hard to imagine this happening. Brought to camps and eventually were killed. And so to avoid this, imagine packing today because you were being hunted by the government, the police, to be arrested and killed. So you're packing. You can't really pack because then it would look like you were running. So you get as much as you can, and you're going into hiding. For how long? Where? Will you get caught? You're going to be in hiding with 7 people somewhere. You're 15 years old, which means our 7th and 8th graders are very close to that age, and you don't know what's going to happen. Those are interesting to me. I like the nonfiction books. I also like the books that we started with about helping each other out, especially during hard times. I hope you had a good time listening to the first 2 books, and you can relate somewhat to the second because we're kind of in quarantine, which means we're kind of trapped in our houses. But it's one of those things that I think everyone needs to know about. Love you all at Joseph Gallagher. The Detroit Sherwood community and everyone out there. I've enjoyed doing this. I look forward to doing it again. Maybe I won't have so many camera issues. Again, have a great day. Do it the JMG way, all day, every day, which means taking care of yourself and taking care of each other. Love you all. I look forward to seeing you back at the ranch as soon as it is safe for our community. Thank you.